So the first question, what's really nice about the way we work is that our machines just get better and better over time. We depend on a sorbent material that has been used in water processing in the past. It's produced in very large volume today, so we don't have a supply chain issue on that. But it hasn't been optimized for DAC, for capturing CO2. It was actually optimized for processing water. That means that we have a huge potential for improving the sorbent over time. The energy use today that we have is sufficiently low to be viable in many of the existing use cases, especially when the transport costs are high. We have a viable product today. We don't depend on future developments, neither on the technology or policy side, to have markets that we can play in today. However, as we improve the sorbent and we improve the functioning of our machines, and which we can do because we roll out machines very fast, we get much accelerated learning cycles that allows us to process it, to improve the technology faster. And that means that we also have great collaboration with our customers, where our promise is you buy the machine from us and it just gets better and better over time. So that's on the development, the technology side. Also, because we build parks and not factories, it means that all improvements that happen at the small to medium scale are immediately transferable to the larger scale as well. Very much similar to what you've seen in the solar industry. And in terms of how much of a viable source the CO2 is, well, I think we can replace all of the currently used fossil fuel derived CO2 with atmospheric CO2. There's no issue. We can do that. In some places, the fossil fuel CO2 is a bit too cheap. So we're working with the government in some territories to look at what can we do to disincentivize the use of CO2, fossil CO2 in current utilization cases. For example, in the Netherlands alone, we estimate that almost 7 million tons of CO2 from fossil fuel sources are used to grow the tomatoes that you might have had for lunch today, right? And so we're looking at getting incentives in place to the types of contracts for different type of mechanisms that enable these farmers to make this decision and still be in the green, economically speaking. So that's important. What we, in terms of how we see it rolling out, what we see is a combination of big users of CO2 wanting to gain independence from disruptions, from price hikes, from waste products that the producers don't really necessarily want to make anymore. So we see big users kind of buying machines to produce their own CO2. We also see users of CO2 bundling together to create their own DAC hub, where they can produce CO2 for multiple on-site uses or in their region. And also we see the traditional big industrial gas players, we have some on this call today, that also look at, okay, how can we replace our fossil fuel derived CO2 source with atmospheric CO2? Our business model is to provide the technology, machines, and services that enables both users and suppliers of CO2 to switch to atmospheric CO2. So my guess is going to be accelerated. It's going to be happen much faster than I would have said a couple of years ago, and that both from the market side, from the policy side, and from the technology side, all of these forces are coming together into a perfect storm. So I'm looking forward to being in touch with all of you in the near future.